Hello. Hi, welcome, and thank you for being here. We're gonna get you a little bit of clarity and see what the overall vibe is today, what messages would be helpful. It's a timeless reading. Whatever it finds you, it's perfect. If this reading found you, there's going to be something that comes through that's gonna feel like it's really helpful. It's a collective reading, so you'll know when those messages really twinkle. If some messages don't feel like they fit, it's just a message for someone else. Always follow that beautiful, deep, direct, divine connection that is in you, because the answer is always in you, connecting to your higher self, to God, to source, to the universe, to the energies, and trying to make balanced decisions between logic and intuition so your decisions are sound. They're based in love and for the highest, greatest good of everybody. So we're all uplifted in love, in love. So let's begin. We're going to start with the Sacred Traveler. Let's see what God's source, Holy Spirit, grace consciousness, our higher selves, angels and energies of love have for the highest, greatest good of all. What is, ooh, it's so, that was so fast. You have the wandering path. You got the map. There's something that you have to get to at the end. And when you get to the end, you still have to dig in a little farther to do a little work. It's going to be worth it. I feel like you're going to kind of find the treasure, but this is more about the journey. It's not that X marks the spot kind of situation. It's like a scavenger hunt. That's kind of what I get. Like, it's like each moment, like you might get that little prize at the end, but there's something about the experience of, you know, each step of that journey, like little discoveries that kind of unfold, unravel. I feel like it's a big mystery. So maybe you're unraveling a mystery. Maybe somebody was a mystery to you. But there's something about how the path goes. So for some of you, maybe you get that map and they're like, just, you know, 40 paces to the left and over there, and you found your thing. You found the location, you know, you're in the experience. And there's something about the one that maybe took the long road, or, you know, maybe didn't get to the finish line first, but had a way better time. I want to say like getting off course, like off-roading or something like that. It's like, I see like a scavenger hunt, like when you're a kid or you go to a party. Actually, the best ones are when you have scavenger hunts and you go to a party and it's like an adult scavenger hunt. But I mean, you have to like get in the car and go around town and find the clues, and you have your little, you know, your team. But I feel like there's a team, whether that's just you and another person or you and a few people, where it's like you were on that winning streak. You know, you had the most, you know, things lined up to get back to the house to get the prize, and yet you were like, oh, what's going on there? Is that a festival? Oh, is that a concert? Oh, look at that sassy coffee shop or whatever. And you actually get sidetracked and have a better time because you weren't the winners than getting there first. I feel like there's somebody that wants to get there first, but they're at the party and they're just kind of like, where is everybody? I don't even get my winning parade. I'm the first one here. Where is everybody? I feel like it's the ones that come late that actually had a better time. So if you feel like you lost your map, you know, if you're arriving late, maybe it's arriving fashionably late, but there's something about the delay being important. I don't know why I see like the scenic route, or you know, like off the highway, they have those places you can kind of pull over and park. You're pulling over to park with a certain person, but it's like you get to, like, you don't even know it's there when you're on the highway. You know, you got to get to the destination. You know, the GPS says we're going to be in there in 42.5 minutes. We got to go this way. And it's like something kind of got misdirected you. You took a wrong route, or one person happened to look out the window and say, oh, well, there's a picnic area up there or something like that. Maybe we should go up there because I have to pee. But there's something about that discovery that you could have driven past that exit, you know, like 5,000 times in your life. But once you go up there and you're like, wow, it's like this magical place that you found, you know, you're like overlooking, I don't know, I do see a mountain, but For some of you, maybe you're looking up at a mountain, or maybe it's like the cliff over an ocean or over a lake or something like that. There's something about nature, like I'm getting nature scenes, like being so amazing. It's like you almost want to go back there and either bring your camera or bring your easel and your paints and like paint it, like really capture that moment forever so you can see it on your wall. Like that's sort of what I see. But it's almost like if you didn't lose the map, or if you didn't take a different route, if you didn't take a pause somehow and be okay with getting lost, you wouldn't have had that breathtaking moment. Wow, I got a lot from that little card. Also, maybe you see a fox or you connect to a fox. I don't know why I just thought of Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. Maybe there's something that's backtracking, or you're sort of doing something now that changes your whole future. If you see a fox, that's a very lucky omen. I also feel like if there's like, because a fox energy can be, because sometimes they take the chickens, stuff like that. So it's almost like, I feel like there's that beautiful foxy energy, or, that good luck kind of energy, like really getting through things that no one else could figure out. Like cunning in a good way, but then there could be that other energy that's kind of like trying to get over, kind of sly and slick. So I do feel like, extra message here, if somebody was trying to like get over, they're like, ha ha ha, we're gonna win that scavenger hunt and give them the wrong map. I feel like that backfires on somebody. I also feel like somebody might get caught, and it's almost like they're what do they call, I want to say discontinued. Like it's almost like that they weren't allowed to finish the game. Like maybe they had the big prize at the end, and I see somebody like taking away their trophy. That was really weird. So maybe it's just having that awareness and not really getting upset, because I do feel like there's something that feels like a win for you. Even if it's just that experience, if it's who you meet along the way, if it's that something got delayed, so something works out in the right timing, there's something you're going to find out later that you're going to feel very grateful about. Enjoy the journey. So I want to see what your soul's lesson is today. Or if this doesn't feel like it's you, this could be hoping you have clarity on what somebody else is learning along this journey. I feel like you meet somebody at the crossroads. And I don't know why I see a ribbon on a tree. That's really weird. I don't know what that means. Maybe somebody has a ribbon in their hair. There's something about a gift. When I looked at that, like a stump, it makes me think of the giving tree. I haven't read that in a really long time. There's also maybe something about strong roots, and also if you thought that something was a big mountain, a big obstacle, there's a way for you to find the right path. For some of you, there might not be a path, because I see a lot of like forest, like the brush. When it's the season where if you walk in the winter in the woods, you can get over on something, but as soon as the spring comes and something starts to kind of blossom, I see something like bamboo, where it was kind of there, you could get over it before. Now, where did this all come from? I used to walk here all winter. What is going on? I feel like there's something that you are being still gifted, where it's almost like you can, I don't know, I see this bamboo or this brush or this prickers or whatever it is. I actually see it like kind of moving for you, like parting ways for you to pave your own path. But I feel like there's something that's energetically being separated for you to move forward in a better direction. Like I just literally thought of what is that? Like Moses parting the waters. Like I see that, but in the woods. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Maybe something had to be separated for you to be the one to get through. Or you or someone else had to separate from a person or a situation, a mindset, an environment. Because I see somebody waiting on the other side for you. I'm not sure what that is. So let's get a soul's lesson. What is a soul's lesson that is being learned right now? Surrender. You got 2 lessons. What is it? Surrender and freedom. Ooh, I like that. So maybe some of you were stuck in the briar, stuck in the bush, you know, of a situation. You feel like that journey has been taking a really long time and you saw no beautiful scenic routes. What's going on? It's just weeds all around you. I feel like there's still something that's going to be parted for you, paved for you. There's a place where if you lost the map, it's going to be gifted to you. If some of you felt stuck, you have this lesson that maybe it's you doing something a different way. Because I feel like for some of you, it was going in circles. Instead of moving to a next spot or maybe a different place on the map, unusual territory, unusual terrain or experiences or partnerships or whatever it is, you were sort of going in circles, like lost in the forest. If you feel like you were going in circles, you have to, at those crossroads, there's like a turning point where you always went a certain way and it's time to kind of go outside the comfort zone, go a different way and see if that gets you out of the loop-de-loop cycle of something. There's something where you are the one that is creating this new freedom in your life. But I feel like that freedom is also feeling less anxiety. So maybe some of you have anxiety because even with the surrender energy, to worry about something, when it's going to work out, what they are doing, you know, what if you do this, that could happen, or that could happen, or all these scenario land things, or what's going on in the dark, why haven't you heard from this person, it must be all of these things, and you're making all this stuff up in your head. It doesn't change the actual outcome or the actual situation that is going on if it is out of your control. If it is not something directly in your now, in your environment, that is, you know, something that you can be in control about. If it's out there somewhere, to worry about it doesn't change what's going on out there. So there's something about you being at peace, that something will unfold. There's also something about you sending a prayer out. If you really just don't know what to do, maybe it's just a prayer for things to turn out beautifully. Maybe a prayer of healing or help for someone to get back on their path. If you feel somebody's getting lost, maybe it's a prayer for yourself to bring some relief on any anxiety or worry that you might have. I feel like you have to trust that something is unfolding better than maybe you're, you know, getting over analytical about. And if that's not you and you're like, I'm pretty good, you know, I trust everything's gonna work out, you have faith, and this is somebody that you are connecting to in your energy field that is very analytical, very much an overthinker. And I feel like that overthinking almost is the restriction to freedom, because there has to be that surrender energy where, as much as you would like to be in control over every little thing, every little next step in your life, you know, every little clue that comes around, sometimes you're given a clue and it's a little more elusive. You know, it's a little more that Sphinx kind of energy where you might think you figure out the outside solution, but there's more under the surface to uncover. I feel like that was the first thing I saw with that X. Like, you got to dig a little deeper. What does this say? Hold on. Surrender. Let go, let God. I can release my need to control. I feel like that's definitely somebody's lesson. And sometimes that lesson comes through because there could have been something in somebody's life where they felt like maybe because of outside sources, they weren't in control of how something could happen. So this might be somebody that really does prefer to have rules. They want to see the instructions. They want to go to the next step. Don't skip in the scavenger hunt and get off path. We have to go to the second clue first, even if, somebody knows, you know, not, clue number 9 now. It's like, no, that's not the way to do it. That's not the way I planned. That's not the way I have everything checked off. It has to turn out like that. There's something where somebody is going to be thrown off path. And that is so somebody gains more flexibility. Somebody gains more maybe inner awareness to really tune into intuition and not so much the big, I don't know, I get like plans of the ego. But I do feel like that could be protection, because somebody feels like if they have something under control, then they know what is going to happen, and then it doesn't feel it's going to get them off balance. But I feel like there's something about getting off balance where somebody learns to get up again. You know, they, I don't know why I see 2 different shoes. Like somebody has like 2 different shoes on. It's almost like they got used to something. They're like, no, this is the way it is. But then someone's like, why don't you put, you know, a cowboy boot on your right foot since you have one on your left foot instead of that stiletto on the other foot? And they're like, no, that's not how it is. That's how these came in the box, you know? And I see somebody like maybe having to be a little flexible and deciding to put on the same shoe. And they're like, oh, I didn't even realize I was off kilter the whole time, because it was something somebody was used to. It's like somebody was used to an energy being off, so they thought that that was normal. That was such a weird example. I hope that made sense. I can release my need to control. Also, if somebody doesn't want to put on that cowboy boot and they want to wear a stiletto and a cowboy boot, you can't make them put that shoe on. They have to be ready. You know, it has to either, maybe they'll lose that shoe on the journey over here, getting stuck in the mud. I possess the power. I just saw somebody putting on roller skates. That was so weird. I just thought of that song, Roller Skates. I think it's Steel Pulse. That's a really good song. It's like music. Oh, life without music. I can't. It's like a little reggae song. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. How powerful is that? If somebody's free will was not involved in their own happiness, if somebody's free will is making choices that it's more about everybody else's happiness and they put theirs on the back burner, I feel like that's this shoe imbalance thing that I saw. You know, maybe if there's other energies in somebody's, you know, world, you or someone else, and those energies make somebody feel off balance if they're off balance. So there's somebody that likes to be in control, make sure everybody's okay, then life is pleasant. But then there's something they're ignoring, and they don't realize that even though they think everybody else is in balance, their imbalance is getting worse and worse and worse. And now it's like to the point where I actually see somebody with 2 different like heights of limbs. That was really weird to see. Actually, if somebody has like a slight difference, then it would be good to have 2 slightly different shoes. I don't know about a stiletto and a cowboy boot. Maybe a little difference on the heel. Maybe that's something that actually some of you have or know somebody. I have known people that have that, and they have to have a slightly different heel, you know, on the one on the like one shoe. And I know this is really different, but just saw, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty regular. I just saw, I mean, I gotta say the messages that come through here. I kind of saw somebody that has maybe 2 different boob sizes, and maybe there's something you can do, or you can get it to like, I don't know, like I'm actually seeing a custom fit bra for some of you. That was an extra message. That is not for everyone. I don't think the dudes on here are like worried about getting a custom size bra. Maybe banana hammock. All right, we're not going to go too weird here. Maybe you have a custom Speedo. So that being said, weird messages aside, let's continue and see what's going on this journey. What do we want to pull though? Mystery. I want to see what the mystery is. Well, let's get some mystery messages for this journey. Extra bonus messages. This keeps coming through. All these cards here. I even shuffled these. Time is so precious. Time is a gift. Time is not guaranteed. And I feel like that's the being in the now. That's making changes towards happiness now, today. It's stepping back into your own personal power. Take it away from anyone else. Maybe it's even if some of you were worried if somebody would make the wrong choice. Maybe it's just allowing somebody the freedom, the free will to choose to go their own way. They might choose right, they might choose wrong. They might go away from you, they might come back towards you. But to offer that freedom is usually where somebody feels that release if there was any hold on energy. So they, I don't know, I feel like that makes somebody even more attracted to be in your vibration because you're not holding them in any way. I hope that made sense to some of you. I just love these messages. I don't even remember what I have put in here. It just keeps growing, and it's been so long that I've looked at it. I just had all that stuff that came through about the shoe sizes. Somebody wearing a stiletto and a cowboy boot, you know, the two different size heels, the bra size, whatever it is. This is also you and a situation, you and a certain person. What is maybe working for you, even how it fit you in the past might not be how it fit you after you've had growth along your journey of life and into the future. So one size does not fit all. What works for one person might not work for another person. You know, even if this is you in a new work environment, you with a new partner, business partner, lover, friend, whatever it is, you know, how you are with one person, the dynamic between the two of you, the banter back and forth, the humor, all of that, the conversation, the mental stimulation is different in each individual relationship in your life. So it is about maybe surrendering and being adaptable. If you had rules in a certain, you know, old workplace that you went to or a certain school that you attended, and now you go from maybe a really restricted school, let's just say they have uniforms and rules and all that, and all of a sudden you go to someplace else and they're really liberal and kind of artsy and they let you do whatever you want. I just saw one of those workplaces where they have the really cool like rec room for you to have your coffee break. Like I'm thinking in Manhattan, very specifically. I had people that worked like for Google. At least this is what they told me. This is hearsay, so I might be wrong. But they'd be like, oh yeah, we have this like workplace and there's like, you know, video games and basketball and popcorn machines. And I'm like, oh, wow. They're like, yeah, they like to keep it fun for us so that when we go back into the computer, we don't feel like we're stagnant and stuck. They like to keep us inspired. Well, that's a cool workplace to work for. So I feel like it's something like that. Maybe for someone else, that would get them kind of off. They want to be somewhere where they go in, they want a structure, you know, and they want to have something on a schedule, have the break at the same time every day, and go to the same place to eat, and that works for them. Maybe that doesn't work for somebody else who likes to kind of keep their life, you know, I hear it like keep their life guessing, keep their life unique, keep things changing and flowing. So maybe it's even two people coming together and they are that different. Maybe there's a way you have to blend, find that Goldilocks zone that works for both of you and compromise. Rose is here trying to get my attention. And I'm not exactly sure why, because I just let her out before I did this reading. Let's get you one more. Thank you. Next. If something is not working for you, it's okay to let that old you go, to let that old cycle go, to surrender that you might not know what is to come in the future, but you can definitely trust the energy you feel of what next step makes you happy, the people in your life that you vibe with. It is okay to cut strings, to let the past go. And if something was not working for you, it's okay to, with grace, say, thank you. That was good, or that was weird. I learned a lot, ready to move on and say next. So I also feel like it's that freedom I saw with allowing somebody else to choose, you know, surrender. You know, let's say you're really feeling like you're vibing with someone, but maybe they're not really vibing with you. And somebody is saying, you know, this was a good run. It's not you, it's me. And they're saying, you know, thank you. I'm glad I got to know you, but I think I have to find someone or something that kind of suits me better, suits my lifestyle. You know, it's a little bit different is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for anything right now, but I do appreciate you. You have to let somebody go. I think that's that energy I saw, that allowance, because that's creating, at least that person's being honest, which a lot of people don't get. They just get the old ghosting, or get somebody that doesn't know how to articulate, even if it's very simple. You know, it doesn't have to be a big drawn out, this is what happened in our relationship and this is what we're going to do. Sometimes it's just a simple thank you. I think this is done. And that is a gift if you get even the smallest amount of closure. And if somebody wants that, I mean, that's your answer. And if there is a door closed, it's because there's a next that is going to suit you way better than staying somewhere where somebody's only like half in. Or maybe their presence is there, but their heart, their emotion, their mind, their dreams, their fantasies are elsewhere. Interesting messages today. And I am not sure what my doggy wants, but hi, babe. Maybe she just wants to make a little cameo appearance for you. Really? All right, let's get you one angel number, and then I'm going to attend to the little one here. Thank you. 1177, because you're ready for growth, which is beautiful. You're ready for something new. You're ready to expand. You're learning its development, nature. I saw that nature before. Potential, success, and expansion. You know, if you're not really feeling like you have the freedom to get beyond the fence here, or to, if that's, let's say, a journey you started and you've wasted years in the position or a work environment, but that growth you thought you'd get when you started is not really happening now. How many years later? You're not really enjoying going there. It's stagnant. You feel stuck. Then it's you maybe having a little transition to figure out what would you need to do? What would you need to surrender and let go of? And, you know, say thank you to head you towards that next clue or that next step of your journey of your life. Take positive steps towards learning and personal development. Also self-awareness. Engage in activities like taking classes, reading, or spending time in nature. I saw that scenic route. So that's maybe your answer. You know, if you don't know what to do and you need to give yourself a little free space to go think on something, then see what I'm getting, actually what you can squeeze into your life today, like a little pocket of time for you. Reading or spending time in nature, unlock your potential and achieve success. What areas of my life can I benefit from learning and grow from? How can I incorporate new experiences or knowledge into my daily routine? Enroll in a course or workshop that interests you. Read a book on a topic you're passionate about, and spend time in nature to reconnect with your inner self and stimulate personal growth. So it's time to stimulate your growth, expand a little, and do something a little different. What's that thing you've always wanted to try? If you don't know what that big thing that makes you like excited about is, what makes you curious? It's like the baby enthusiasm. What makes you like, you're, oh, that kind of, you know, put a little twinkle in your soul. Or it could be something brand new you've never even heard of, but there's something like, like you have a conversation with someone, you're like, wait, what is that? You can do that? Or what is it you do for a living? Or what is that experience you have? Or where is that place in the world that you went to? And like all of a sudden you're like, you know, when you get those ideas that start kind of glowing there, maybe do a little research and see where it takes you. Follow the clues on your own personal little scavenger hunt to freedom and happiness and growth and expansion. That being said, I'm going to take my dog out to do a little nature outside. I'll be right back. All right. Since we got all of this like nature kind of energy, I actually remembered I had a tarot deck called the Tarot of the Great Outdoors. I think that's the name of it. I put the box across the room. So let's see. Let's get a couple of tarot messages on movement of energy, overall situation, some advice for you, where to focus, the next step coming in. I definitely think some of you are leaving a situation, And I feel like there was maybe lack of freedom, lack of growth, and maybe a little going around in circles. And now you're realizing that you've wasted a lot of time chasing your own foxtail here, and maybe something doesn't fit you anymore, and you're just surrendering to, you know, however the next step will unfold, or what it will pull you towards, or what experience is around the bend, over the hill. And I feel like you're having this beautiful piece of something that maybe you can't quite control, but you have faith on the next chapter being better, or just really wanting it to be at least a little different than the last. I hear a couple go-arounds. Maybe you've had a couple go-arounds with a specific person or situation. Maybe those go-arounds have been, you know, a couple days. Maybe those go-arounds have been years. So let's see what the Tarot of the Great Outdoors has as energetic advice. What is the overall energy and progression of movement? What's the overall energy now? Let's start with that. And I want to see what's around the bend. Ooh, interesting, because 1 + 1 + 7 + 7 actually equals 16. And now you got the tower. There's definitely a tower moment. If this is something that you weren't allowing, it's you have to allow this tower to fall. You have to allow the old to be gone, to give way to something new. This could be an epiphany moment. This could be, you know, finding the treasure or the next clue on that map or in your journey. This could be a tower moment that time is a gift and it's not a guarantee. And maybe somebody wants to really start to take those classes, have those experiences, make some moves towards their next journey or chapter in their life. The tower is usually very quick. I would say even watching this is something that probably has happened either in the 3 days prior or the 3 days ahead. That's kind of specific. So with maybe a 6, balance in love, maybe this has to do with a partnership. It does look like there is something pretty stable here. But even if you think something is stable, there can be an energetic force or an energetic situation that can push even what you thought was stable over. It looks like the sun is coming out after the storm, or you thought something was all sunny and all of a sudden the lightning comes in, you know, the lightning hit something. And I'm getting with that lightning, it's an internal tower mostly. It's more like an epiphany and aha kind of moment. Interesting that that was kind of like a tiny tower moment. My phone just totally ran out of space. So I deleted some videos and started it back up, and it's continuing on after that tower falls. Keep going. Maybe you do it in the same place, but you have to make a little room. Something had to be adjusted, or it's about doing it, you know, in a totally different platform. So let's see what the tower's about. Upside down, it's kind of standing there and looking at the rubble and not switching something up, getting too, you know, lost in something or putting something back together with duct tape. You know, it's like if I just ran out of room in my phone and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't record videos ever again. Okay, I guess we're not going to get any more readings ever again. Like, no, you could get some information and figure out how to not just delete those videos, but you have to actually empty it out of the trash for there to be the correct room to rebuild, to take you to your desire, your wish, you know, that healing energy. So the star, let's see why is the tower here? Tell us about the tower, please and thank you. Why is the tower here? Because you're having clarity, because you found your, like, what is that? Like, I want to say like a jackknife, but it's like your I can't think of what they call that thing. What is that called? But I want to say the jack of all trades. I keep seeing the name Jack now. Maybe it's like a Jack in the Box. That would be a tower moment if you didn't know there was something in that box and you're like, oh, what's this little handle? And you're like, oh. But the Ace of Blades is, it's like you got all the tools you need here. It's actually pretty cool. You know, you need a spoon, you need some clamps, you need some pliers, you need a, you know, a little knife, you need a little screwdriver. It's all right here, you know, contained. So this Ace of Blades is clarity. That's why I saw that as an epiphany moment. Somebody being clear that maybe that one tool wasn't working. Maybe you need one thing that does it all. You know, instead of having to drag a huge toolbox with you, it's like, huh, interesting, because they say that one size fits all here, but even though it's one thing altogether, each individual component is actually a different size or for a different purpose. There's something that you're doing where you're going to blend different things that you have done in your life together, or there's maybe somebody you are meeting where it's like a perfect blend of all the different components of what you groove with together, whether that's somebody's personality or somebody's skills or just how you are together. Maybe one person has expertise in one area, somebody has expertise in a different area. You put your two beautiful minds together and who knows what you can figure out on how to put that tower back up, and probably not with duct tape. You know, maybe it's figuring out the right mortar. Maybe it's like, you know what? We didn't recognize that big, beautiful tower was actually sand. Why did it keep falling down? Maybe we should go somewhere where it's not so sandy and find some rocks. So Ace of Blades is clarity. It's communication. It's intelligence. It's not getting over analytical in your head. It's recognizing that through each problem you have, you can figure something out. But I always feel like with Ace of Blades, you have to combine that intelligence with the intelligence of emotions, the intelligence of your spirit. Also the intelligence of your body, because your physical body has a lot to say without the actual words speaking. So if you, for instance, feel like a certain food you eat always makes you feel kind of awkward, your body's going to let you know. It's also going to have certain maybe cravings, healthy cravings, not weird cravings, that may have something that you need. I'm also getting energy. With these two together, I feel like, I know this is interesting, but I do see a crystal. This is this is apophyllite, if I'm saying that right. This is one of my favorite crystals. So if you, I guess, use this energy for whatever it is. This could be picking a business partner, you know, the next person you're dating, or maybe your new employee or your new boss. Whatever this is, could even be a project. It's like when you walk into a crystal store and like you pick up the one and you're like, oh, that's kind of nice. And then you look over there and there's the one that's perfect and it's on its little podium, and you're like, oh, well, that's the prettiest one. And your mind wants you to say, well, no, that's the nicest one in here. But yet your body keeps drawing you back, or energetically, it keeps drawing you back to a certain one that might not be the prettiest one in the room. But there's something about the frequency fitting with you. Not something being maybe the most perfect on the surface that is actually the best fit for maybe your next step or what you need in your life now. I hope that made sense. If this is upside down, it's definitely feeling unclear about what to do next. Unclear why that duct tape didn't hold, you know, that huge obelisk up. Somebody not speaking the truth. Somebody maybe not even asking the right questions. Ace of Blades. It's a new beginning that could require a truthful conversation. It's an ending that could require a truthful conversation. I find it so interesting that I'm talking about communication. You hear how my tongue's all twisted? All of a sudden I got all tongue-tied. So maybe somebody doesn't know how to put something into words. So maybe it is about actions, but I feel like even if somebody was a little concerned, or I want to say nervous about the start of a conversation, whether that's an interview, a first date, or somebody you've known for years, there's something about important communication and the truth that needs to come through. You know, sometimes this tower moment is an argument, like a big one. You know, if something was sort of brushed underneath the surface, kind of lost in those clouds, pretending it's sunshine and 70 all the time, but never something that was really going on in that foundation ever addressed. Sometimes that is a weird buildup, not even a catalyst to what ends up coming out during the argument or the fight or the miscommunication, but something kind of like triggered or set something off that maybe has something more than you expected come out of something. But if it's bringing stuff up that was underneath the surface, that was tucked away, that it was ignored, it might be the clarity that is needed so there can be actual growth, whether that's within a partnership or a group, or it brings you together, or it pushes you away. Either way, it's something that is necessary because there was a kind of weird stuck in the loop. That's sort of what I keep seeing kind of energy before. Like it felt stagnant, whether it was a constant storm or it was constant sunshine. There was something that needed to be fixed, but maybe the right tool was that of truth. What is this new communication, this epiphany, this conversation, this possible argument? Or sometimes it is also the recognition that what you saw on the outside, or what you presumed with your mind, someone or something to be on the outside, is totally different than when you uncover the layers after that initial, hey, hello, my name is. Because if you maybe just, let's just say there's somebody in your office and you pass them by every day and you're like, hi, good morning. You're like, hi, good morning. And you never had a conversation with that person. You perceive them to be a certain way. But let's say one time you go, you know, on a scavenger hunt together, you go out, you know, you go out for coffee or something, and you really get to know someone. You have to surrender all those preconceived notions of who you thought that person was, when all of a sudden they become the funniest MF that you've ever met in your entire life, or they're actually really spiritual, or they actually, you know, have all these like hobbies or things that they do on the side that you would never think that they did when you see them sitting at the office down the hall, but you never got to know someone. It could also be that once you have a tower situation, you thought somebody was sunshine all the time, you know, puts on the happy face, but that maybe you have a tower situation where all of a sudden you see somebody when the ruckus is going on and that person is kind of unstable and not like the strong front that they put up in the beginning. So whatever it is, there's like ultimate clarity coming through here. I don't feel like it's always about that being unstable, because I do feel like if there's a weird ass situation, one of you is probably the stabilizing factor that can actually support the other one. Yet, if it's constantly that somebody is using the other person as a continual crutch, I feel like someone's going to get kind of tired. I hope that made sense. Let's see. Tell us about this truth, this clarity, this Ace of Blades. I can't believe I am brain farting on what this is actually called. It's kind of driving me crazy. So if you could help me out and put that in the comments, that would be very helpful, because I feel like a dingbat right now that I can't think of that. What is it called? I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to get stuck on it. Wow, you got the world, and wow, what's at the bottom? The Queen of Vessels. Maybe you have to follow your heart. You had all this intellectual energy here. You're following your heart towards freedom, towards happiness. You're going towards a place or a person where, wow, you caught your wave. Look at you windsurfing there. This Queen of Vessels is a badass. I kind of want to be her friend and have her show me how to do that. Look at her. She's not only catching that wave and surfing, you know, she's also catching the right winds of change to push her along even faster on that wave. So maybe this is a queen that somebody feels really confident and comfortable around to open up to. This is usually somebody very stable in their emotions. This is somebody emotionally mature. This is somebody who is really intuitive, knows how to ride those waves of energy that he or she does feel. This is the queen that she's like Venus, but there's something about her where she can feel the vibrations of others. She recognizes when, you know, somebody might have a smile on their face, but their energy is kind of funk. And she'll know, oh, you know, I was going to bring something up. They look happy, but I don't think this is the time to bring that up. We're going to wait. And she knows, you know, when to wait out on a situation so somebody's in a comfortable place if it's them opening up. Usually she's somebody that people do open up to. Sometimes she can be quiet. Sometimes she can be bold. She's very genuine. You know, it's all those water signs, so they can feel all the ripples in energy. Sometimes those water signs have to either, let's say, you know, have some kind of protection because they do feel energies outside so much and they are very giving that sometimes they leave themselves open up to be hurt. So then that wall gets built up. They're afraid to catch that next wave. You know, they fell off the wave and got slapped all around by it. And they're like, I don't know if I'm going to go out tomorrow surfing. I mean, it was fun that couple of times that I did it, but that fall kind of sucked. So I don't know if I'm going to do it again. What this queen has to learn is to give to herself. This queen usually has to learn self-love. She can be overgiving to everyone else because she really has the desire to help and heal, to nurture. But sometimes she overgives to the wrong people who don't nurture her back. So this queen's lesson is usually to really gain that badassness where she is kind of solid on her own, not reliable or codependent on anyone else for her to get her cup filled or anybody reliable on her to always fill their cup. We'll take a little look at the other side of the coin on this one because she's kind of, I think out of all of the different upside down queens, probably my least favorite. I don't ever get a good energy when she is upside down. And it's not that like kind of side of the coin that I saw where she just has to learn to have self-love. It's the other extreme. It's somebody who uses people. She uses people to her advantage. She manipulates energies. She makes people feel bad. She like kind of pushes that emotional manipulation so somebody feels guilty or somebody questions themselves or somebody is even emotionally tethered onto her because she needs them. She needs them. Or how could you do this to me? She's kind of like, she's either extreme in her emotions, like all over the place where it is like that tower and she's always kind of unstable where you feel like you have to walk on eggshells, or if you say the wrong thing, you might hurt her feelings. She could also be the martyr. You know, this always happens to me. You know, I'm always hurt. People are always doing this to me and I'm such a good person. I'm such a good heart. How could they do that? But it's like there's always some underlining weird ass thing for her to get something or for someone to, you know, have her appear in a certain way where she's like somebody that would hold something over somebody else, hold something over somebody to keep them latched on or keep them chained down or unfree because she knows that the thing she's holding over them, they really care about. So it's like, I don't know. That's why I don't like her energy like that. She messes with people. And when you mess with someone's emotions, you know, if somebody really genuinely feels in a certain way or really has a good heart, it's, you know, sometimes where she is, I don't know. I think that's enough said with her upside down. She's just a lot to take. You know, she can even be someone that tries to teach somebody a lesson. So she's just not going to talk to them. She's not going to show any emotion at all for the next week and a half to punish them. I'm going to punish them by not talking. But it's always like, it's just like, it doesn't feel genuine. Upright. She is the most genuine, beautiful, loving, she's like Venus. You just want to be around her. It's like being around love. You just want to, you know, embrace in her arms and give her a big old hug and, you know, roll around in the waves with her. You trust her intuition. You trust her insight because she taps into energies that aren't always her own, but when she's in that right vibration, it's genuinely to help someone else and not to benefit for herself. So I'm going to continue. You can see why I kind of get weird about her upside down, but yet I love her the other way. That's the other way. She's like phenomenal. And I do have Pisces rising, so I do connect to the water signs. Yeah, the water signs are really special. It's that it's emotional strength, but there's such a strength in that natural tapping into the ether, to the energies, to the unknown, to what other people can't see, but they energetically feel. And I don't know, there's a true strength with that, even though sometimes it's misunderstood. So let's just say, for instance, someone like, I would say, I used to do sign videos a lot. So I do know a lot about all the astrology signs, but let's just go with Scorpio, for instance. Like Scorpio is, I personally love Scorpios. I always get along with them. But they're really, really strong. But sometimes a Scorpio can freak people out a little bit because they kind of just know things. And people don't always understand how they know something, and if it's somebody that's really confident, they're like, yeah, my friend knows everything that, she could feel out, or he could feel out anything that goes on in a room, even when no one's saying anything. And it's like they find the confidence in that connection. But if somebody thinks it's like, I don't want to do anything wrong, how are you reading my mind? Then it's because they don't even always know how they know something, but they can really tap into those energies. But the thing about Scorpios, they're not afraid to dive deep. They dive deep. And the Scorpio is not afraid to go, to the depth of the ocean, to have that, because it relates to like the death energy. It's like they recognize those deep shadows, what no longer serves them, what's their booby trap that they're not going to take anymore. They face it, they look at it, they gain strength from it, and they let that shit go. And it's amazing. So, anyway, got a little Scorpio reading out of this, but I want to go into, I don't know. I almost want to talk about Pisces too. I mean, Cancer is amazing. Cancer has that protective, motherly, genuine, like when you're in their circle, like they will nurture, but they're kind of also really strong. Whereas a Pisces is also really strong, but they have that extra sensitivity, a little bit of every other star sign. And the Pisces is a little different. They can wiggle away. So the Pisces sometimes is overwhelmed by all they feel. So they don't really want to deal with it in front of everyone. They just need to retreat, go away, recoup, reboot, distinguish that energy from their energy before they go back out there again. So maybe it's something about this queen having to basically go away, or this queen feeling protective over something. But you have to look at the difference between wanting to protect something and wanting to allow something freedom to grow. Because I see now, the mother bird protecting her young. But if that bird is ready to fly out of the nest and that mother or father bird is never letting them leave the nest, their wings are never going to get strong enough to fly, to know what it's like to learn. Maybe somebody has to fall down to learn how to get back up again. There's something about just allowing somebody to learn their lesson. I went on such a tangent there. I hope it was helpful. Let's continue, because you got the World and the Magician. You have everything. That's like that knife. You have everything right in front of you. All the tools that you need to start, to manifest, to create, to get across that stream, to go to that island, to hit the rainbow after the storm. I like that you're in your little kayak here and you're kind of just going with the flow and the river of life, and wherever it takes you. It's like you're skipping the Fool and going right to not being a dumbass and starting to make magic in that new world. It's like you didn't even need that big leap of faith because you had an inner knowing that the next step was just right. Kind of like that. So you have an ending and a beginning. If the Magician is upside down, it's kind of like what I was talking about with that, where it's more like a snake oil salesman. Parlor tricks, but not really true energy or true tapping into divine energy. It's more like trying to manipulate a situation to make it out to be something. And that's not true manifestation, because true manifestation is that weird conundrum where you imagine it all, you try it until it works, but you really put your energy in there, and yet you completely let it go and surrender to it working out how your ego doesn't want necessarily. It could work out to what's connecting to what you're thinking, but sometimes it works out completely different. It's being okay with all of that. Because if something doesn't work out, the magician starts again. The magician thinks of a new idea to try. The magician, goes down a different direction. The magician isn't afraid to try something a billion different times until it works, but they want to keep expanding. They want to keep growing. They want to keep learning how to use all of the elements of this beautiful earth, tapping into the divine connection they get from source, because that's when it feels like real magic, not putting a love spell on someone. That's bullshit. Now you're trying to manipulate somebody's energy to make them feel a certain way and get what you want. And you know what? That shit karmically backfires threefold at some point, because every lesson you put out there, every energy you put out there is always going to be reflected back to you. And, it's having awareness on everything, fear of nothing, and connecting to your personal intention on what feels like truth and authenticity in your soul. And that only comes through lessons and growth. This is one of those readings, I'm not sure what kind of, I feel like at times I was getting like downloads, but I'm not sure what came out. So I hope this reading today was helpful. I don't know. I just feel like there's something that feels off about anything that's trying to do a lower vibration. Somebody that's doing like, even with this magician, it's like the magician, I'm just gonna, because these messages are coming through. The magician upside down is kind of like somebody that pulls a fast one on you to make a quick sale so they can get their quota. It's, it's somebody who, let's just say, has a tarot shop on the street and they come in and they give a bullshit general whatever kind of reading that, let's just say, tarot, and you can look at those cards and you're like, that isn't what those cards mean. But, that's okay. I'm going to listen because, sometimes you get messages that don't really relate to the cards. Everyone's way of reading cards is different, and receiving spiritual information is different. But if at the end they're making you feel weird, they're making you feel bad, they're not giving you any empowering energy to help, or open-ended questions that help you to get the answer that's inside of you. If there's somebody that at the end they're trying to sell their old, love spell over here, and they're making you feel like you were cursed or something like that, that's bullshit. And you know what? Just don't believe it, because all of that is in your belief. So if you believe somebody can put that energy on you, now you're connecting to that stuff and you're allowing those vibes to go in you. If you're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm protected by God. I have this strong energy out. If anyone with weird vibes want to come in, you know what? They're going to be blasted with some love. They're going to be blasted with some healing. They're going to be blasted with some awesome light and maybe some inspiration. So they turn that internal dialogue back around and start looking at their own actions. And if they don't, you know what? They're just going to bounce off of you. That energy is going to go back to them, and maybe not through you, but through other circumstances via energy of the universal laws. Go through their own lesson. And some people learn that lesson, some people do not. If they don't learn it in this life, they learn it in the next. So, wow, big. World card connected to the world, big ending, take a bow. Knowing that something is behind you, you're leaving that shore, you might not have the map or know what's on the other side over there, or even that there was a way through and there's something around the bend, but you're definitely ready to move. Or whoever this is making some manifestations that they have been maybe thinking about for a long time, but movement through truth, step by step, to figure it out along the way, to manifest and be the director, the narrator of their own life. Especially if there's any manipulating energies that are trying to direct somebody else's life, I feel like that's somebody moving away from that. And if there's somebody with somebody in their life that's working together and trying to have healthy truthful communication so that two people can create their dreams coming true together. Whether that's supporting each other in their own individual dreams or coming together on the things they create together. It's now two-person kayak, but it's not just one person paddling. Both people have to paddle, and they have to paddle in the right direction. If one person's paddling this way, the other person's paddling that way, that kayak's gonna probably go in circles, which is kind of what I saw before. Wow, this was an interesting reading. I hope it was helpful for you. Let's get one more from the universe. Says. Message from the universe. Final message today. Ace. I don't know why. It's interesting. I saw the Ace of Blades, and I wanted to say Ace of Base. I just thought of the sign. What is that? I saw the sign. Just opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Maybe you're going to see the sign. You belong. It's such an old song. I remember listening to that on the radio in the school bus. And that's when school buses like got their first speakers, just so the kids would kind of hush up and have something to listen to. I'm kind of curious the year that came out now. I'm just aging myself all the time in these videos. By the way, if you guys just want to know, I was born in 1979. So I'm not a spring chicken here. But I don't know. There's something that I feel like is important. It doesn't matter what year you were born. It's always like connecting to what makes you feel young and vibrant. Whatever it is you're into is really important in your life. It doesn't matter how many times you recreate yourself, reinvent yourself, start over on your path, you know, have an ending that brings you towards a beginning. Even with the very beginning of this, and seeing that like scavenger hunt, but then I saw it then as an adult. There's something about you doing something where, I don't know, I just see playing, where you feel like you're playing. So maybe I'm getting the energy of the Fool, since we sort of skipped it with the World and the Magician. So maybe it is that wide-eyed wonder of it's a big, beautiful world out there. It's time to hop into it. You know, I just thought of a bunny, so maybe something is extra fertile right now. Maybe some of you are, if you're at the age where you want to start a family. That was kind of interesting. Maybe it's just being fertile with a new project, a new beginning, all possibilities ahead. You can't, I love this. So, whatever that cycle thing was, sort of like the theme of this reading. You can't do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and expect a different result. So if you don't like the results that are happening, you have to not do something over and over. You have to have awareness that, you know, it's like the magician. They want to create something, you know, but they use that same tool and then something always falls apart. You know, they're trying to use the screwdriver instead of the pliers, whatever it is. And they're like, why doesn't it ever stay together? Maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I didn't do it tight enough. They're using the screwdrivers, but it needed some pliers. That doesn't actually make sense. But it's kind of like, and then the same thing happens. It's like, no, the magician is the one that they're like, okay, I did that like 4 times already. What can I do? It's a little different. Why is that always falling down? Why is that not getting tight? Why does it keep spinning around and it doesn't fit right? Maybe it's the wrong size. Maybe you need to try a different size first. And it's that when you get a different result. So, and also sometimes you have the results that you like, but you know what? That tower moment comes on in, and the only thing that's consistent in our life is everything's always going to change. So sometimes something comes through and what was working before ain't a working anymore. So you need to be the one to be a little flexible in that situation to see now how can it work? Or how can it work with this new partnership? Or how can you make it work in your new job or in this new environment over here or this new school over here? It always worked the other way in the other thing. Why is it not working here? You have to be the one to be flexible enough to have that growth and expansion to figure it out. Because you're the magician, you're a smart cookie. Also, magician is, it's like a Virgo / Gemini. Change comes from thinking thoughts you've never thought before. I mean, you got, I would say that's that. Also, the epiphany I saw. I don't even know where your tower went. Here. You've never thought of before, and showing up to meet them down those streets that you've never walked before. I feel like that's that scenic route that I saw, that beautiful landscape. Okay, I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a blessing to my life. I hope this reading was helpful and something came through that resonated for you. I very much look forward to seeing you soon. I love you so much. Bye.